Welcome to our special presentation on the Roswell incident. In July 1947, the sleepy town of Roswell, New Mexico became the center of a controversy that would ignite decades of speculation and conspiracy theories. Join us as we dive into the events that unfolded, examining the eyewitness accounts, government involvement, and the enduring mystery that for more than 70 years surrounds the Roswell incident. It all began on a hot summer day when rancher Mac Brezel, a rugged and weathered rancher, set out on his usual journey across his vast property. As he traversed the rough terrain, he carefully scanned the dry landscape, always watchful for any signs of change or disturbance. On this fateful day, he stumbled upon a surprising discovery that would change his life forever. Instead of the usual desert landscape of rocks and tumbleweeds, he found himself surrounded by scattered pieces of metallic wreckage, shining in the bright sun. In his words, a bright wreckage made of rubber strips, tinfoil, and rather tough paper and sticks, and the animals, as usual with something they fear, would not go near it. The metallic-looking fabric was scattered around the terrain of the New Mexico desert. The rancher did not know what to do with the items, or how they got there in the property. But overwhelmed by the significance of his extraordinary discovery, Mac Brezel felt an urgent need to share his findings with the authorities, but not having phone facilities, he waited a few days. So on July 4th, he collected all the items he could find and stored the items until the 7th, when he drove to the sheriff's George Wilcox's office in town and began to recount the remarkable events that had unfolded on his ranch. As the sheriff listened with attention, with a mixture of awe and uncertainty, he described the peculiar metallic wreckage, its unusual symbols, and the sheer vastness of the debris field that seemed to defy any logical explanation. Sheriff Wilcox, not sure what to make of the story, notified Colonel Butch Blanchard of the Roswell Army Airfield, located just outside of town. Blanchard, following the Army ranking, contacted his superiors and promptly dispatched Major Jesse Marcel of the 509th Bomb Group Intelligence Office and a team of officers to investigate the case further. Meeting at the police station, Major Marcel, alongside Mac Brezel, returned to the ranch site to examine the remains and the crash site. Back in the ranch, Major Jesse Marcel and Mac found themselves standing amidst the enigmatic wreckage of what appeared to be an otherworldly craft. The crash site was a desolate stretch of land, scattered with twisted metal and debris. Major Marcel, an experienced military intelligence officer, approached the wreckage with a mixture of curiosity and caution. He meticulously examined the debris. The wreckage extended over a large area, suggesting a high-velocity impact. Major Marcel and Mac were questioned extensively by military personnel, their accounts recorded meticulously. The rancher described his initial discovery, emphasizing the sheer scale of the wreckage and the strange nature of the materials. Major Marcel, with his keen eye for detail, provided insights into the peculiar characteristics of the debris and its potential significance. By July 8, Marcel's account of the story was published in the newspaper The Roswell Daily, with the headline, "Roswell Army Airfield Captures Flying Saucer on Ranch in Roswell." That was a stunning statement even for the time. The article said that the 509th Bomb Group Intelligence Office announced at noon today that the field had in its possession a flying saucer. The next day, the same department released a statement, and quote, "The many rumors regarding the flying disc became a reality yesterday when the intelligence office of the 509th Bomb Group of the 8th Air Force, Roswell Army Airfield, was fortunate enough to gain possession of a disc through the cooperation of one of the local ranchers in the sheriff's office of Chaves County," end quote, said the press release. Strangely enough, and furthering the conspiracies the following day, the Army, in a public statement from Washington, turned completely on their first version of the flying saucer, saying the debris found at the crash site was actually from a weather balloon, and released pictures of Major Marcel with the pieces of the supposed balloon, using the pieces as proof. And immediately, the Roswell Dispatch released an article saying Army debunks Roswell flying disc as world simmers with excitement. But to add to the mystery, Roswell incident wasn't a one isolated case. At the same time, some incidents involving UFOs happened before that. On June 21st, Navy seaman Harold Dahl claimed to have seen 6 unidentified flying objects in the sky near Maury Island, Washington state. Dahl also claimed that in the next morning, he was later approached by a man in a dark suit and told not to talk about the incident. Could it be the famous and dreaded Men in Black? That appeared many times over the decades. 3 days after Harold, a pilot named Kenneth Arnold said that on June 24, 1947, he spotted 9 mysterious high-speed objects flying like a saucer would along the crest of the Cascade Range. And if that wasn't enough, over southern of New Mexico, over 70 sightings were reported days prior to the incident. And by the end of 1947, a mass hysteria of flying objects had seized the global mindset, with over 300 reported sightings in the last 6 months of that year alone. In 1950, Frank Scully, Variety writer, released Behind the Flying Saucers, a book that details alien encounters from the Pacific Northwest to the towns of Aztec and Farmington, New Mexico, where aliens were said to be landing their aircraft in people's backyards. For decades, many UFO researchers and skeptics of the government officials changed their versions of the facts. And finally, in 1994, the Air Force released a report where they conceded that the weather balloon story was indeed fabricated. According to the 1994 official explanation, the wreckage came from a spy device from a then-classified project called Project Mogul. The device of various strings connected in high altitude with microphones was designed to fly over the Soviet Union, detecting sound waves in stealth distance to detect the Soviets' testing of their own atomic bomb. Because Project Mogul was a covert operation, the report claimed, the made-up story was necessary to prevent giving details of their spy work. Those are the facts we know about the events that took place in 1947 and the official reports from the Army. Despite the official explanation over the years, following the Roswell incident, a number of eyewitnesses emerged from the shadows, courageously coming forward with astonishing claims of a government cover-up involving aliens and the retrieval of extraterrestrial bodies. Their stories painted a different picture than the official one. This is the point in the Roswell investigation where things starts to look dubious, and the public opinion of skeptics and believers start to clash over the veracity of stories from eyewitnesses. In interviews conducted years later, Major Jesse Marcel expressed his belief that what he handled was not from any conventional aircraft or weather balloon. He stated that he suspected it was of extraterrestrial origin. Jesse Marcel's statements became more widely known in the 1970s, when interest in UFOs and conspiracy theories surrounding the Roswell incident resurfaced. Marcel provided interviews and appeared in documentaries, sharing his account and supporting the belief that the government was covering up evidence of an extraterrestrial event. It is important to note that the specifics of Marcel's statements may have varied over time, and his testimony has been subject to scrutiny and debate. Some skeptics argue that Marcel's initial comments were more aligned with the government's official weather balloon explanation, while others contend that he was pressured to change his story. Another important eyewitness was Glenn Dennis, a mortician in Roswell, New Mexico. He claimed to have received information regarding the Roswell incident and the handling of alien bodies. In the early 1990s, Dennis came forward with his account of what he allegedly witnessed in 1947. According to Dennis, in the summer of 1947, he received a strange phone call at the Ballard Funeral Home where he worked. The caller, who identified himself as a nurse from the nearby Roswell Army Airfield, asked about the availability of small hermetically sealed child-sized caskets and inquired about preserving bodies that had been exposed to the desert heat. Curious about the unusual request, Dennis decided to visit the airfield hospital to investigate further. He claimed that upon arrival he encountered military personnel blocking access to certain areas and witnessed strange activities. He alleged that he saw debris, including metal fragments and material resembling thick, shiny foil, being loaded onto trucks. Dennis also stated that he spoke with a nurse who described to him the presence of small humanoid bodies with disproportionately large heads and eyes. In subsequent years, Dennis recounted his experiences in interviews and public appearances, adding further details to his story. He claimed that he was warned to remain silent about what he had seen, and that the military had confiscated his camera and threatened him to keep the events confidential. Dennis spoke publicly about his account starting in the early 1990s. As interest in the Roswell incident grew, his claims have added another layer of intrigue to the case, suggesting the presence of alien bodies being recovered at the crash site. And while Glenn Dennis's testimony has intrigued many UFO researchers and enthusiasts, his claims have also faced criticism and skepticism. Some have questioned the veracity of his account, pointing to inconsistencies and a lack of corroborating evidence. Another important eyewitness was William Mac Brazel, the son of the rancher, that confirmed the initial reports of his father discovering unusual materials and debris on their ranch. He described the wreckage as being unlike anything they had ever seen before. The debris was said to be metallic, scattered over a large area, and not resembling typical rocks or natural elements found in the region. William's statements were significant in corroborating his father's version and adding credibility to the original reports of a mysterious crash and unusual debris. His testimony helped reinforce the notion that something out of the ordinary had occurred on their ranch near Roswell, New Mexico. One of the most recent, Walter Haut, the public information officer at the Roswell Army Airfield during the Roswell incident, played a significant role in the events and subsequent public disclosures. In 2002, shortly before his passing, Haut signed a sealed affidavit that revealed startling claims about what he witnessed during that time. According to his affidavit, Haut stated that he was directly involved in the recovery of a crashed UFO and personally witnessed the bodies of extraterrestrial beings. This revelation added a new level of intrigue to the Roswell incident. Haut's affidavit claimed that he had been instructed by his superiors to issue a press release on July 8, 1947, stating that the military had recovered a flying disc. However, higher-ranking officials quickly retracted the statement, replacing it with the explanation that the debris was from a weather balloon. In his affidavit, Haut alleged that this cover-up was intended to conceal the truth about the crashed UFO and its occupants. Haut's account provided a first-hand perspective from someone within the military who claimed to have witnessed and been involved in the recovery of the alleged extraterrestrial craft. His statements fueled speculation and furthered the belief that a UFO had indeed crashed near Roswell. While some skeptics question the authenticity of Haut's claims, others consider his affidavit as an important piece of evidence supporting the existence of a government cover-up and the retrieval of a crashed UFO in Roswell. The sealed nature of his affidavit has added an air of mystery and controversy to the already enigmatic Roswell incident. In the end, it's up to you to believe or not to believe in their stories, after decades being surrounded in mystery. Today, Roswell has embraced its association with the UFO phenomenon. The town attracts thousands of tourists each year, drawn by its museums, annual festivals, and the promise of someday uncovering the truth behind the mystery. As we conclude our journey, it's certain that something strange happened in 1947 and the Army involvement. Everyone in the field believed that something did fall from the sky on that summer night, but if that was an UFO, aliens, or merely a spy balloon as told by the Army, remains a doubt. But one thing is clear. The events of that fateful day in July 1947 continue to captivate our imagination. Whether you believe in extraterrestrial life or subscribe to more mundane explanations, the allure of the unknown persists, forever etching Roswell in history. And thank you for joining us on this exploration of the Roswell case. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to like the video. Tell us your opinion in the comments and subscribe to our channel. We have many more cases to cover. Last, remember to keep questioning and seeking answers to the mysteries that lie beyond our grasp. Thank you for watching.